Hello and welcome to Bespoky. In today's video we're going to be looking at Creed Aventus. Hello, my name is Paul Anthony.
And I'm CP.
And today we're going to be looking at the famed Creed Aventus. Well, famed in the fragrance community anyway for being such a power fragrance. As always, Charles-Philippe and I are using the Bespoke Unit Fragrance Formula, or BUF for short, to review and analyze this fragrance. I'm on my third bottle now. We've got bottle 2 here and bottle 3 there. Anyone who may be interested, the reference and lot number of this one, this is my second bottle, is LT4215Y11.
Meanwhile, this one is LT4216L01.
So there we have it. This one, just on a high level note, I get more pineapple out of this one, and we think this one's a bit more green appley on the open.
Yeah.
But, so the whole point of the fragrance formula is we're trying to create a kind of a standardized review matrix for fragrances, so we can work through each section piece by piece. And in the description below, we're actually going to provide you a link to a blank one where you can fill your own out as well. So Charles-Philippe, let's take it away. Do you want to talk about, well, we've obviously got the fragrance house, Creed, the fragrance name, Aventus, and it was released in 2010. Do you want, after that, do you want to kick off with the composition?
I think we'll just go straight to it. How about that?
So I sprayed some on mine, and I'm already into a bit of the quote-unquote famous dry down.
So as an opening, we're getting bergamot and green apple, and I think these two make an accord, especially in this batch here, which is much more prominent. Yet we still get the iconic pineapple, as well as cassis or blackcurrant, which is just lingering in there for a bit of roundness. And we're gonna have to wait a bit to the heart. So
I mean, from the heart, I mean, I've had this on for probably an hour now. I'm getting a bit of birch, patchouli, kind of rosewood, jasmine-y, but I still get that nice kind of tropical, you know, fruity note on top, especially with the pineapple. I mean, this is what really drew me to this fragrance, was the pineapple, you know, accord there at the top, which I'm maybe a touch of bergamot still, but still just such a great, pleasant, well, spring summer fragrance, which is now into section 2 of the fragrance formula, where we're going to discuss the seasonality. So again, I wear this primarily in warmer climates, spring, summer. It could maybe be sometimes used in fall and winter. I think more as a decadent evening fragrance. I wouldn't say it's a daily wearer in the cold weather, but maybe at night it kind of suits, because it's such a refined fragrance. And actually we have a review here against, below, we have a kind of a head-to-head between this and
Club de Nuit Intense Man.
So where we talk about kind of the finer points of how refined it may be. But yeah, I think ultimately it's definitely a spring and summer fragrance. I mean, especially when you've got the pineapple opening, kind of etc. So from seasonality, we can move on to awakened strength. So Charles-Philippe, what do you think of this?
I think the sillage is good, but it's actually surprisingly average. It's quite tight, so you have a nice firm projection sphere, which I'd say extends to about a meter and a half, so a couple of feet.
You definitely don't overdo this one.
No, like, you really don't.
You can really easily overdo this. I know I've worn this to the office. It especially opens up a lot in warmer weather. So if I put a couple of sprays on now, we're in November in Philadelphia, and like today it's probably, you know, in the mid-40s. Like this, I don't think this is going to have the same sillage and projection as it would in the summer. I know I've worn it in the summer and put a few sprays on, and it's you literally like a pineapple cart rolling through the office, you know what I mean? And I've actually gone to the restroom before. It's pretty embarrassing, and had to like wash it off a bit, because you know, like some other fragrances,
that's $10 there. That's $10 there.
No, I'm so used to just like spray. I was like, you know, I just kind of went on autopilot, totally overdid it, and it was like it was too much, you know. So again, you say, yeah, it's an expensive fragrance when you're saying $10 here, $10 there, but on the flip side, you know, you can get away with 2 sprays, and you're good. As well, other fragrances you might be looking at like 4 or 5 sprays.
True, yeah.
Especially for those lighter, more delicate summer fragrances. Where this is a summer fragrance that's still got a lot of punch, a lot of complexity, and a lot of well, longevity as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It is very long-lasting fragrance. I mean, you've given me a couple of decants, and that lasted for quite a while because I didn't, like you say, didn't have to do many sprays, and I didn't have to do many reapplications throughout the day, so pretty efficient.
So I suppose just circling back for the whole sillage, pretty good. Projection, I think projection is probably a 5 out of 5 on our matrix, to be honest. I get a lot of compliments on this with people that aren't actually particularly close. I mean, I remember I was going through security at the airport once, and the woman was checking my bag. She was, "Ooh, what you got on there?" You know, kind of thing. And she was like the other side of the belt. Yeah, you know what I mean. So it definitely projects, but then that's obviously you got to be careful not to overdo your scent bubble. You know, and then longevity. I mean, this thing just on my skin lasts all day. You know, it's great. There's definitely kind of a good, I suppose, residue of fragrance there. In the next section of our bespoke and fragrance formula, we're moving on to the third-party feedback.
The third-party feedback, I've not heard many negative things about Aventus. There are some batch variations, and that's within the fragrance community, but when, you know, the people that we've spoken to, the times that we've worn it, it's been extraordinarily positive.
Yeah, it really has. I mean, actually one of my best friends growing up in London, his wife was like, "Oh, you're wearing that like expensive fragrance." Like that's because I think like, she's a nurse, and one of the surgeons she works with wears it, and sometimes I think that's the only negative connotation that I think people have. It's very recognizable because it's quite a unique fragrance, especially I think the pineapple head really kind of gives it away, and it's like it's a thick pineapple. It's not like a light, it's very oily, you know, but it's great in a great way, you know.
At times I do find it a bit cloying, but that's just me. It's just me.
So I'd say the only negative feedback I've ever had is, oh, it's an expensive fragrance, you know what I mean? However, it's a unique fragrance. I get nothing, well, outside of that real one comment from her, there's nothing really been negative ever said about it. And I enjoy the smell myself immensely, you know. So there's some fragrances like Spice Bomb, which I don't really, I'm not like a 10 out of 10 fan on it, but it just gets a 10 out of 10 compliment factor. It's unbelievable, especially in the winter, that fragrance. Like, I'm like a 10 out of 10 fan of this, and even if it's like a 9 out of 10, you know, positive feedback, like I'm happy because I also want to like the way I smell as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is kind of important, you know. So that's like another one of my favorite fragrances on me is Penhaligon's Opus in the winter. Like, again, that thing's like, smells so good on your skin, and I don't really get any olfactoral blindness. I kind of get a little bit of olfactoral blindness off this one sometimes. Again, maybe to overspray. So, you know, but I do wear it a lot in the, I mean, I'm on my 3rd bottle now. So yeah, just be careful to not overspray. I mean, that's the cautionary tale, but if you're going to be spending, you know, quite a few bucks on this.
Yeah, about 400, something like that.
Yeah, I think the retail for this size is $425. So we're going to go on to presentation, where we're going to be covering bottle, the atomizer, packaging and value. So,
well, personally, I'm not very fond of the bottle. I find that this sort of wraparound is, which is meant to have a leather effect, is plastic, and this sort of foil that's been stuck on the front. I've seen more original and more attractive designs, but that's just my personality. That's just my personal
Actually, kind of looks a little bit cheap. I don't know, like, I don't know. I don't think it's ultra luxe. You know, I like the shape of the bottle. Yeah. Well, there is a tale of woe here, which is I was travelling back from London, and unfortunately the bottle got crushed in my luggage, and I probably lost about half of this bottle of juice. So my clothes smell great that were going to be laundered anyway. It's pretty upsetting. So like, the cap kind of half came off, then the top cap got smashed. I was like, wow, my laundry smells great right now. So that was like a $200 hit to the old pocketbook. I mean, there's basically nothing left in there. To be honest, I think it broke the seal as well, and this thing's been evaporating. So I mean, this is really literally on its last legs now, which is a shame because I definitely prefer like the batch on this one. Again, it's got that little bit more pineapple forward, but again, that kind of probably kicks down for this price point. I mean, again, I'm not sure what kind of stress it was put under to cause this break, but I've never had it happen to another bottle of fragrance.
I mean, it does have a really
and for the most expensive bottle of fragrance I've ever bought, a little bit disappointed, but that's just the way the cookie crumbled, I'm afraid. But that is important to note that we have experienced a catastrophic failure of that. Overall, the packaging, I do actually kind of like the box. The box is fairly nice, which is kind of anti what I just said about the bottle itself. As for value for money, we give this a kind of out of 4 score. I mean, I'm just going to go out there and say it's 4 out of 4. I mean, because...
Okay. Cool. Okay.
Because...
I mean, yeah.
I mean, why not? I mean, obviously I'm on my 3rd bottle, so how could I say it wouldn't be value for money?
Yeah, absolutely. No,
you know, so if I got 1 bottle and I'm like, should I get another one? Like, it would be silly of me to say, oh, it's 3 out of 4. Because why would I keep buying the same bottle? You know, so obviously I find value in buying this fragrance because I am on the 3rd one. So
it's true, you've kindly given me some decants, so I've actually never spent a penny on Aventus, but would I? It's good, it's iconic, but personally, yeah, I don't see the same value, especially when you start to look into clones, but that is a discussion for another time in another video.
Correct, it is. I suppose the last point we have here on the Bespoky fragrance formula is the impressions. So we kind of give this a kind of a high level out of 5 bucket because it is very interpretive. But we talk about age range, time of day, occasion, and masculinity. So do you want to take age range?
Age range, I'd say, well, I think it's quite versatile. It can be worn by a young person because it is a youthful fragrance, yet it is very refined and quite mature as well. In some ways, it's great for sort of more mature gentlemen, as it can be worn by them as well, and it gives this sort of breath of this pop of youthfulness. It makes you feel energetic. It is, as I said, quite a versatile one that you can wear. However, in the early 20s and maybe even the teens, I say that is way too young.
No, I think that's too young. I mean, and ultimately, if you're a teenager, I mean, most teenagers aren't going to be spending $400 on a fragrance.
For sure, no, absolutely not.
You know, so
they
there's
could
probably
be stealing it from their dad.
Probably clones are probably better, like Club de Nuit, as we mentioned. I'm 33, I think it's a good fit for me. I can see myself wearing this fragrance for the next 10-20 years, especially in the winter, especially in the summer, and maybe to some like black tie events, especially maybe into the fall, kind of keeping it a little bit more fresh, you know, because it is such a refined, well-balanced, composed fragrance.
It is.
So I think it has potential year-round application, but it's definitely a much more strong case in the spring summer. Time of day, I mean, I think I kind of covered that. All day, spring summer, potentially evening, kind of refined events, maybe the occasional date night in the colder months. Occasion, kind of covered that as well. Masculinity, what do you think about masculinity?
I think it's well, we've got a fruity head, which makes it quite, that's not a particularly masculine trait, but then again, it is overall quite strong. We do have that ambergris muskiness, and some birch in the heart, which are, you know, traditionally, conventionally very masculine notes. Yeah,
I mean, it's definitely not like a...
it's very contemporary. It's not classic.
Yeah, it's not like an 80s power man frag, you know what I mean? However, it's definitely masculine. You know, my girlfriend and I actually do share some fragrances, but I don't think this is one that she would wear. She might wear the head, but I don't think she would like, you know, the heart and base of it. So I think it's definitely, it's not unisex, but it's definitely approaching more masculine, but it's not ultra, you know, killer 80s, like slapped around the face, masculine. So that kind of just takes us down to the final score out of 100.
Well, we haven't properly tallied up, but I think that would be something.
There will be.
I want to hunch over the fragrance formula and give this a proper run through before I give my opinion of where I think it would sit. But I'm pretty confident it'll end up finding itself in the high 90s, or no, the high 80s and potentially 90s, which is
insane for us. Anything over an 81 on our formula is considered really outstanding. I think our highest review ever at the moment is Terre de Hermes at 87.
Yes, I think so. I think that's currently the reigning champion.
So again, this is an interpretive formula. I'm going to say from my gut reaction, I'm probably going to be high 70s. Potentially, you might even have our first 90s fragrance, which would be great. Love to hear your feedback on this review on Creed Aventus. Any other clones that you may think are great. Also, what you think of the Bespoky fragrance formula. We have a couple of videos below where we discuss the fragrance formula, how we use it, and how we came up with it. Also, we got a video comparing this to the kind of the #1 contender clone, Club de Nuit, which you know, I know that's going to be an interesting one for both of us to go over.
I'm looking forward to that.
Yep, and definitely write any comments or questions you have below about any sort of fragrance topics and other reviews you may want coming up in the near future. Also, please feel free to go to bespokeunit.com/fragrance, where we have a multitude of fragrance resources, buying guides, best lists per season, best lists per price, and all that good jazz. So please like this video if you did like it, subscribe to the channel and turn on those notifications. With that being said, any final questions, Charles-Philippe?
I have nothing to add.
Perfect. Well, on that note, my name's Paul Anthony.
And I'm CP.
We'll see you next time.
Take care.